Hi, I'm Dave Delmonico, District 196 Transportation Safety Training Specialist. You're about to view a Type 3 recertification video. In this recertification video, we'll cover many aspects of driving safely in a Type 3. Those will include defensive driving, merging, backing, uphill and downhill parking, correct left and right turns, and we'll also show you some incorrect turns that make a trip less safe. So please pay attention to this important recertification video. There will be a test at the end of it that you'll need to complete. And remember always, drive the student safely. This segment, we're dealing with defensive driving, primarily looking ahead, scanning mirrors, using a good space cushion between you and any cars or pedestrians in front of you. Defensive driving also relates to acceleration smoothly from stops, as will be demonstrated at this start. Good smooth acceleration, not a jerky one. And as we're driving, the driver is looking ahead at least 15 seconds for hazards. Checking the mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds to his left and right. Moving the eyes every 2 seconds is an important feature of defensive driving. Making eye contact and recognizing any hazard that you come into. Braking is also important during defensive driving. As you'll see as we're coming up to this next intersection, brake early and steadily increase pressure on the brake pedal to slow and then stop the bus. There'll also be a pedestrian crosswalk at this intersection, and it's always important to watch for pedestrians because you're never sure exactly what they may want to do. Good scanning left and right. And then again, smooth acceleration. When you come up to a traffic situation where there is a car in front of you stopped, the general rule to follow is you want to stop far enough behind them so that you can see the rear wheels of the vehicle in front of you on the ground. That'll give you enough room to get around the car if it should stall at that intersection, and it'll prevent you from hitting them if you happen to get rear-ended yourself while stopped at that intersection. Well, here's an example of stopping behind a car so that you can still see their rear tires on the ground, leaving enough space between you and the car in front of you as a safety cushion. We'll now be looking at the right turn. Right turn is same as the left turn, other than your reference points and observations are opposite of your left turn. So as you approach the right turn, again, slow down, signal in advance, check your mirrors, pay attention to tail swing, and make sure that you get out into the intersection far enough to avoid the curb with the rear duals on some Type 3s. Again, stay in the traffic lane and accelerate. Again, watching all mirrors. This first right turn will be an example of a cut right turn, or turning too short. Notice the rear dual goes over the curb and almost on the grass portion. This will be an example of a wide turn, which is a missing reference point for the right turn, going too wide out into the opposing lane and then correcting going in. This will be an example of a correct right turn. A lot farther from the curb, out into the intersection, and into the lane, accelerating. Our next instructional piece is a left turn. During a left turn, it's important to signal well in advance. Check your mirrors properly as you're slowing down. Position the vehicle correctly in the lane. Remember tail swing on any vehicles on the right side during your left turn. Yield to any vehicles in front of you. And it's recommended to use the push-pull method. As you enter the lane, accelerate and continue down the center of the lane that you are in. This will be an example of a cut left turn, which is into the opposing lane, through the center line of the correct lane, and then continuing on. This will be an example of a wide turn, where the driver waits too late to make a correct left turn, bringing the vehicle way to the right side of the roadway. This will be an example of a correct left turn, coming out into the intersection far enough to pick up a reference point prior to making a left turn, which will bring the bus into the correct lane without crossing into the opposing lane. Merging and lane changing is another important safe driving habit and feature to have. What's important during merging and lane changing is that you signal your intent well in advance, checking mirrors, and then a gradual merge, in this case to the left, and change lanes. Don't spend too much time straddling the center line. And make sure that you watch speeds of all vehicles approaching and accelerating away from you. And maintain a correct merge speed so as not to hold up traffic. Approaching intersections can be another very dangerous driving maneuver, and it must be done correctly. When you come to an intersection, make sure you're in the middle of the lane you're traveling in. Scan adequately to the left, using your mirrors as you're scanning, and to the right. The Type 3 you're driving may have some unique blind spots that you'll need to know, so you know how to look around those blind spots. When it's safe to proceed, do so. Entering and accelerating so that other traffic behind you doesn't have to slow down. As you approach a light-controlled intersection, again, it's very important to cover the brake as you're approaching, to adjust your speed, apply the brake when necessary, scan mirrors constantly, and then as you are waiting for your light to turn green, again, scan 2 or 3 times to the left and the right. And remember, just because your light is green doesn't mean that others will stop at a red light. Some may be distracted for various reasons, and the possibility of them running a red light is a concern that you must always have on your mind while driving students in a Type 3 vehicle. Again, at all intersections, scan thoroughly, use your mirrors constantly, and know that you're clear to proceed. This would be an example of a downhill park. Signal your turn over to the curb, come into the curb line, and on this occasion you'll be turning your wheel to the right so that if the vehicle rolls forward, it will roll into the curb, stopping it. Again, set the parking brake, put it in park, and you should be good to leave your Type 3 vehicle where it is on the hill. This is an example of a uphill park. Signal your turn, scan your mirrors, getting yourself over to the curb line. On an uphill park, you'll be turning your wheels to the left so that if your vehicle rolls backwards, the front right tire will hit the curb and stop the roll of the vehicle. Don't forget to set your parking brake and put it in park. It's also important to note when pulling away from the curb on an uphill or downhill park, you may encounter what's known as tail swing with the rear of the Type 3 vehicle you are driving. Depending on its length, tail swing could end up coming over the curb and hit somebody that is standing on the sidewalk. So be cautious of tail swing. While backing, it's important to remember some important items. Number one, put your four ways on. Put the vehicle in reverse. This activates the white backup lights. Even though white backup lights may not actually show you much behind you, it does warn other drivers that your vehicle is in reverse. Have your window down a considerable distance and then scan your mirrors several times prior to actually backing up in a straight line or backing to move over to the curb. If available, you could utilize another adult that could act as a spotter either inside or outside of your Type 3 vehicle. Backing is a very dangerous exercise, especially in student loading and unloading areas. Be very careful backing up, and if there's ever a chance to avoid backing up, take an alternative such as going around the block. Student loading and unloading, very critical part of the safety function that you have to perform. Make sure when you're coming to pick up students that you only pick up or drop off in a parking lot or at a driveway. Do not stop on the road, and certainly do not cross any students from a Type 3 vehicle that you're driving. Make sure they load and unload in a parking lot or in a driveway. It would be the safest. Make sure that you count them. Know how many are getting on and getting off so that you know where they are. Make sure you scan your mirrors thoroughly 2, 3, 4 times before shifting from park into drive. And remember, in a Type 3 school bus, whichever type you're driving, you must be in park when loading or unloading students. Clearances. Type 3 vehicles vary in many different forms: cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, smaller school buses. Still officially a school bus, you must know what your clearance is, so figure that out before you go on a trip. Well, I hope that recertification video was a good review for you concerning Type 3 driving and the safety needed in transporting students. A couple other things I'd like to point out. With special needs Type 3 vehicles, make sure that you're familiar with lift procedures, tie-down procedures, and the special equipment that comes on a special needs bus. If you are not, ask your supervisor for some help in training in those areas. Additionally, in District 196, if you receive a citation resulting in a conviction or are involved in a crash resulting in property damage, that will trigger an automatic recertification behind the wheel with a safety trainer from the district. In your district or with your company, please check with your supervisor for their policies concerning citations and crashes. Thank you, and have a safe trip with our students.